Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm making this live stream because it's that important, and I don't believe what started as really an outie and a constructively critical approach turned into an innie when Oakland District 6 Council Member Loren Taylor texted me back a response to what I put out on Instagram that I thought was institutionally racist. And over at Oakland News Now, I shared and it's attached here, the text that I put up there. And in so doing, when I put that up there, in sorry, I'm actually aligning things right here. But the basic problem is that overall, we have a tremendous crisis in Oakland and also in the Black community that I am presenting to everybody by quite literally turning out this conversation, because there are a handful, I mean a handful, of media organizations in the world that are Black owned. This is my blog, Oakland News Now, and that yellow part is a banner that will eventually come in as an ad, depending on the Google computer, right? But I digress. It also presents, as I scroll down here, a post that I wrote about Councilmember Taylor, who I regarded as a friend, but I've come to realize that wasn't like a great idea. And I'm going to read to you what I wrote here. And I'm not doing this because I believe I'm speaking for any other media than myself. There are a tiny handful of people who are Black who own their own media companies and produce their own media on a daily basis and make their own money from however they choose their media model to be. This is how it goes. It says, this sad tale started because I dare criticize District 6 Oakland City Councilmember Loren Taylor's constant promotion of the San Francisco Chronicle and his insistence on pushing his legislative agenda when Oakland businesses need the City of Oakland to implement AB 464, which allows Oakland and California cities to raise billions, that's true, billions of dollars to provide assistance to business, not all kinds of business, large, small, doesn't matter, okay? You would think the City of Oakland would be all over that legislation before it passed. No, not at all. Yet Oakland claims it's helping people, right? Well, Oakland's elected officials do not do anything to shape the market for those less fortunate. And we did it with redevelopment and tax increment financing in the 20th century, and we don't do it today, folks. I long suspected Councilmember Taylor was not interested in Black tech, and I'll get to a reason why later. And moreover, a Black media personality, specifically me, who owns his own tech startup and who can be critical of the Oakland government and politicians. Okay, rather than have to deal with currying favor with little old me, Loren would rather turn to white media for fake objective takes that make him look good. What he texted me shows that. He wrote this to me. This is completely out of the blue. Hi, Zennie. I saw your post on Instagram, and instead of replying on social media, I'm sending you a direct message. Your false accusation of, quote, giving stories to different media representatives is very disappointing. He didn't say it was inaccurate. But anyway, this isn't about race, but instead about which journalists put in the work to identify, investigate, and publish a story. While it is my right to do so, I did not reach out to any journalist about my most recent legislation. I merely published the legislation and agenda memo into the legislative packet, public record, and made comments during the council meeting, and also, which is also public record. I'm grateful to any media, Black, white, or other color, who helps amplify the work I am doing, especially when it doesn't require me to do the work for them. He wrote that. This is what I wrote back. Text. Loren, your message is insulting and nasty. You revealed yourself as not a good person. Think about it. You use social media constantly to promote the San Francisco Chronicle. In other words, you do the work to promote them. They paying you? Your promotion of that publication is so frequent that any logically thinking person would surmise you feed stories to it, story ideas. You also do the work to promote yourself on social media, not Black social media, not my platform, but Facebook and Instagram, the platforms created by white people. Forget Zennie 62 Media blogs, my firm's Oakland News Now or Oakland's News Online. Forget Morgan DeBaum and Blavity. You got a real issue with Blacks in media tech. That much is clear. Clue in, pal. There aren't a lot of us. The playing field is not as equal as you try and portray that it is. Otherwise, in your text, indeed, it's even sad that you think that way. I mean, you wrote it that way, as if it's black, white, all the media is the same. They have all the same revenue and everything else. I mean, seriously, okay? That's what his text implies, all right? But when it comes to me producing work to help you, Loren, my publication never received the same treatment you gave and give the San Francisco Chronicle, not once. And you call me lazy. I mean, seriously, you just did that. You just did that. Then you use the term journalist as if you understand media, and yet to a person who is Black, me, who is not only the writer of text, but the creator of the website design and the coder of pages, and the manager of his own dedicated server, and the negotiator of sponsorship deals, the manager of bloggers and bloggers, the CEO of Zennie 62 Media, a real live tech startup, Delaware C Corp, of which I own 68%, and my dear mom owns 10%. Me, as if you know better, media better than I do, let alone, startups. Okay, gotcha. And I made a company to allow me to work and help my 86-year-old mother, who your text completely forgot about. Meanwhile, I have 3 jobs, pal. My mom, my company, and me, in that order. Do you show any respect for that? No. Goose egg. None. Wow, man. Oakland Post? Hey, pal, Paul Cobb hired me in 2016 to improve his site's search engine optimization. I did so by 300%. I also got the yen to start my own new tech-oriented blog to upend institutionally racist Oakland. That was and is Oakland News Now. And I am the first to make an Oakland blog in 2004, the first YouTube partner in 2006, and the creator of the most standalone news websites about Oakland in Oakland's history. As a blogger at SF Chronicles, sfgate.com, I generated more traffic, you hearing me? More traffic than any other person or section of the entire website in 2010. 26 million page views. You doubt it? That's typical. Why don't you ask Phil Bronstein, the famed executive editor of the San Francisco Chronicle, because he told me personally. He also recommended SF Gate hire me as a consultant. The editors never did, and they hired a person to run it that the hiring editor, not Bronstein, the hiring editor told me first thing out of his mouth was really attractive when I asked why she was selected to run sfgate.com. I also install my own code, and I code my own web security. I do that, pal. My Oakland News Now blog has been attacked as much as, get this, 1.45 million times in 45 days. Yeah, that's right. Again, 1.45 million times in 45 days. And all that was leading up to last year's election. It never worked once. And the San Francisco Chronicle hired a hacker to take Oakland News Now down in 2018. Why? Because it went after my client, the Chronicle did, who was Muriarty Kaplan. She hired my firm to counter the San Francisco Chronicle, which was telling bad and false stories about her. There should be a statue of Muriarty Kaplan up at Salesforce Transit Center today. She built it. Journalism? Huh. You say that in a sad attempt to attach yourself to a white institution. As I suspected, you are one of us who can't stand when another of us dares to establish his own organization and remake a practice, in this case, media. In this case, you want me to just, you want to just be a crab barrel and pull folks like me down. That's typically Oakland, Loren. It's no wonder you can't accept my 33 years of economic development experience in the case of Howard Terminal. Hey, brother, I got my master's degree in the best planning school in the world, Cal Berkeley. You think you can pull me down into your crab barrel? That's not happening. The kind of media you prize, white big media, is uneconomical and unsustainable. It takes a ton of money to produce, and then few read it. My media has low overhead and high revenue returns. I even tried to get you involved in it, but from what I see now as your racist treatment of me as some, interloper, all right, it stopped you from seeing the value in what tech I built. Then you proceed to mishandle it, and now I perceive your actions as deliberate. Remember this: the legendary Oakland Post founder and publisher Tom Berkeley was right when he told me that Black folks are fighting a war on two fronts: information and law. He said that to me as he was showing me his law library and his printing press in 1997. Now it's also clear that we're fighting a war against those of us who don't want us to have the ability to fight that war. Not a good person. Not a good person, Loren. And I don't say that with glee either. I say that with real deep sadness. In all my years, no elected official, none, has ever written anything to me so nasty. Okay? But you know what? I'm glad you did. Thanks for revealing your true self. Thanks for showing me the true city of Oakland. Once again, just this time from a Black Oakland Council member. All right? That's you, man. As I wrote here, it's a sad day. It's an uplifting one for me because I know who's against me and the very, very few Black folks in the world who established their own media companies. There are a handful of us. Sadly, it's other Black folks like Councilmember Taylor. He's a Democrat, too. I mean, think about that, okay? Just like think about that. All right? I mean, that's massively bad, folks. You have a situation like that. And it shows you where the real problems are. It reminds me of those folks who, they want to not think that somebody else belongs or matters or anything else. So they don't want to acknowledge the reality. His text reveals that. Oh, all media is equal. No, it's not. You have more Black folks who actually work in white institutions who've lost their jobs than anybody else in media. That's a fact. And among those who started their own organizations, how many really received any assistance? And the ones who do, hey, do they get assistance like from those organizations that might take issue with them wanting to change the system in some kind of way? Remember, I say that because last year we had all of these organizations like Facebook, for example, and Google that had these initiatives to help journalists and all this stuff. I am not a journalist. I am a blogger. And I say that because journalists feign objectivity. Oh, I don't care about this. This is something that I have no stake in. If you choose a subject matter to address, you automatically show your value structure. Automatically. Okay? Automatically. It doesn't matter if you were assigned it. You could say, I don't want to do it. Automatically. So my intent is to stop that and say, hey, you know what? We are in a time where people want to see who's reporting their media. Personalities matter, faces matter, and yes, the color of the person matters because you want to see if that informs what they're thinking. That's only right. That's only just to want to have that. You want to see if they're male or female. You want to see them. You want to know who they are. That's expected and logical in this digital media society. And to ask for something other than that is ridiculous and arguably criminal. In other words, what do you intend to do with that anonymity? Something that Mark Zuckerberg's sister and I used to talk about all the time behind the scenes when we got to know each other way back in 2011. Because she didn't like the idea that people were using anonymous, posts on Twitter, fake names, and all of that. But I digress. This is about something that Thomas Berkeley, Mr. Berkeley, the original founder and publisher of Oakland Post, was trying to tell me way back in 1997 when he said, man, we got two fights, information and law. And he had his printing press over there at 20th and Broadway, and where he was putting out the Post at the time. And I was working for Oakland Mayor Elliot Harris as economic advisor. And excuse me. And he and then said, and then he also had his law library and his printing press there. He emphasized that quite a bit during our time talking, and then as we were traveling down to LA to meet with a member of the LA County Coliseum Commission. Mr. Berkeley was a giant of a man to me because he dared establish an institution that was like a gigantic Mao through society that needs it today. And that's all I've done. You need a media that reflects a Black point of view, not Black media. I'm not saying that, I'm Mr. Black guy or anything like that, but being Black informs who I am and how I look at things because of the way society treats me. Okay? And it doesn't mean that we don't have other vloggers here who aren't Black. We do, but they have a sensitivity and a sensibility about how to look at the world and ask, hey, how does that treat someone Black? In other words, they're my friends. Okay? That's more than I can say for how Councilmember, Taylor is, treating me here. And I am broken up about it because it was unexpected for Loren to do what I thought in my worst times he thought. Okay? And others. The Oakland City Council has a problem with uplifting Black folks. It just does. Look at the long-term problem. And this has gone from council member to council member in the institution. Look at how we allowed the 10K program, which was on its face was fine, but we allowed it to exist without redevelopment, which means no more funding for affordable housing. We had to scramble to figure out how to deal with that for years. Meanwhile, the market is putting many units upon many units upon many units of market rate housing in the flatlands, pushing Oaklanders out, and in some cases to a state of homelessness, where they become another class. I never thought in my life homelessness would become a class of people. When I was growing up, it was something you sort of did, you couch surfed or bummed around. You got a little money, and then you got your apartment, and your apartment became a house and all that stuff, right? You had a little bit of a fall, but your friends picked you up. Now people fall, and the institution keeps them there. And most of them are Black. And other Black folks act like, that's too bad for you. Seriously. This is us to us. All right? It is us to us. There's some of us who only want to deal with someone Black if, who are you married to? Who do you hang out with? Or are they all Black and all that stuff? Or do you speak a certain way? Right? We have all of these things that we put on other black folks, and it's wrong. It's got to stop, because that's the only way we will truly rise as people. You know, so that's why I did what I did here, because that's wrong. I'm working my ass off, growing this company, helping my mom here, still paying my rent back there in Oakland, keeping that place, making her happy, and the only child. All right. So if you wonder what's driving me to pop off, you just heard it. He pissed me off. And I'm a media person. You don't piss off media people. But he did. Okay? And I'm reminding everybody that blogging matters. Telling the world, telling news, telling happenings, telling experiences, talking from your point of view is the real news. That's what matters. Not somebody, sitting back and telling me how to think in a way that's crafted as if it's objective. That's BS. I'm not saying there's any value in it, but stop trying to overflood it and take over what people like me do. You are not ever going to shut down the power of bloggers or vloggers, ever. Don't even think about it. Not in this life or the next. It's not happening. You're not. That's what I meant, Loren. You're not going to crab barrel me, man. And where did I get that from? I'll tell you. I remember when I wanted to run a redevelopment agency in Oakland, in economic development, and after working for Elihu, and they selected Bill Claggett, good man, but I felt I'll be more effective. That's just me. So then Oakland city manager, about to become city administrator, Robert Bob, told me to go over and talk to Claggett about working for him. So I went over to Max's. We had lunch. And Bill basically said in so many words, because the lunch didn't go well. So you talk like you think you know everything. And I said, look, I've talked like this since I was 6 years old. Okay? 6 years old. So if you have an issue with someone who talks like I do who's black, we're not going to get along. Because if I think I know, if I have the answer, I'm going to tell you I know what the answer is. And I'm not concerned about that person's feelings. They should be happy that I know the answer. But some people are not, because they want a white face to do it. In this day and age, there are people who are like that. And some of them are black. Anyway, what happened was I left thinking, I'm out of here. I don't want to work for the city of Oakland at all. And I was headed back to my office, the 11th floor, to take some things back home. This was after, this was during the change of administrations, because Jerry Brown had won. Elihu, was going to go on and run for other stuff. But I ran into Robert, by the grace of God. I ran into Robert Bob going out of the door on the side on 14th Street. And he said, did you talk to Claggett? And I said, yeah. He said, I talk like I think I know everything. And it didn't go well. And Robert said, he said, you do talk like you think you know everything. You're young. I was young then. You're young, black, smart. You're a threat. Oakland's a crab barrel town. It likes to pull people down. Okay? It still is a crab barrel town. But what I told Robert was, I said, Mr. Bob, just because you said that, I'm going to take that job. And I did. I went over to become an intern over there after. And they, a couple people were really hard on me because they remember me as sitting on the dais representing the mayor and, hey, being in charge. They didn't like that. Okay? I'm serious. And then everything changed when I started to work on the Super Bowl. And everything changed even more when it became clear that I got Oakland from nowhere to one of 3 finalist cities for the right to host the 2005 Super Bowl. Jacksonville, Oakland, and Miami. Okay? No, we didn't win. Jacksonville won. But did I get like a Zennie Abraham Day or a plaque of thanks? Nope. Nothing. Nothing. All I got was Jerry Brown trying to go behind my back to the NFL, getting answers to questions I had already given them the answer to. And the NFL told me that. You hear me? Told me that. So, in an email to my board, I accused Jerry of racism because I said, hey, look, and I'm seriously, Jerry had time for other people and not me. He once told me, April 14th, never forget it, April 14th, 1999, at 4:24 in the afternoon at the administration building in the lobby there, he was with Jacques Bargagi. He says, I said, hey, Jen, I want to share something with you about this rule. I don't have time for you. He said it just like that. And obviously, I never forgot it. Okay. See, there's a lot of this in Oakland, people wanting to think that they've got something or they've got them. They don't have to listen to you. Like you're the small guy or little guy or the person that they don't have to make time for. That's how Jerry treated me. It wasn't until I got press that Jerry changed. Press for Oakland. International press. You hear what I'm saying? And then when the email was revealed by leak, that I accused Jerry of racism, he fired me after the NFL owners meeting. And then I went to the city attorney's office, John Russo, my friend, and he thought that I was going to sue them. And in retrospect, I probably should have sued the city for the way that I was treated. Instead, I built a media company. Okay? Because I figured the bigger story wasn't that. The bigger story was how Oakland treats its own black folks. And it doesn't matter who's in that chair in terms of council. It's a decades-long problem in terms of the retention and promotion of black people. And it continues today with Mayor Kesha Smith and how she was treated. There's a long list of people. A long list. And meanwhile, Oakland's black population goes down. How far and how much do you have to present before you say that, hey, Oakland's got an institutionally racist problem? It prides itself on diversity, but when it comes to actually building a market structure that creates a city for all, it falls flat. It doesn't care to structure it. And that's what I was trying to present to Loren. Hey, you have it in your hands. You have it in your hands. Do it. All you got to do is do it. Hey, let's talk about it. He could have, he could have done a number of things. Hey, Zennie, saw your Instagram post. Let's do a show on AB 464. Let's get this rolling. That's what council members are supposed to do, I thought. That's what it's supposed to do. Okay? Anyway. Got to check on my server. Got to check on the traffic. Got to check on the codes. And I got to check on my mom. Live long and prosper in your world. And if you don't like that a black person does this, you have a real problem.